Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Faizan and I'm back with another video in the series of personal development. So today I'm going to talk about something called as lifestyle, very common, maybe something that you would have learned in your families, in your homes and so on. So what is lifestyle really? Let us understand that. If you, I would encourage you to be like little bit more curious and understand and study how lifestyle has changed from the 2000s to 2010s and then in today's time. You will see that in the older period, I mean, usually if you take the context of India, there was food was not so easy to access. I mean, in terms of earning, also people's per capita earning potential of people were less. So if you compare that, that is one difference that today we have access and we perhaps a lot of consume outside food. That's one change. Second thing, if you want to compare, you will see that there is a lack of community system while growing up. So back in the earlier days, there used to be a community system while growing up. You can play with your neighbors and so on. But in today's time, that thing is missing. You will see that earlier also it was easier because there was a mostly a joint family system, which again has mostly been converted into mostly now it's not there as much as it used to be. So couple of changes. First is around food that people did not have so much food, the common people. And today there is not just enough food from inside the home, but also outside home, and then the food is not of that quality as it used to be earlier. Second change is the lack of community, especially while for kids who are growing up. So in bigger cities, this is a big problem. You will see that earlier times people were more connected to each other. Even in the sense that not just belonging to community, but also because in the earlier times in general, people had more love and kindness. Even today there is love and kindness, but this is one observation that relationships in earlier time were more had more depth. Maybe in today I feel that today's time I feel that there is a little bit of superficiality. I may be wrong here, but that's my observation. So this is the second point, which is around community, which has changed. And the third point around lifestyle, which has changed, would be a lot of advent of social media and internet. I would not say internet. I would social media. I would say internet actually. So let me now speak about each of these things. So the first thing is around food. The second thing is around, let's call it community, where people belonged. So that's community. And the third thing would be around, which I just mentioned, that there is increased access to internet, and one has to be careful, really careful about how you use this productively. Okay, so this is what I'm going to talk about. Let's start with the food first. Let's start with food first. I actually made another video on food and health where I listed that fundamentally health is based on food because that is the root of health and eating fruits, vegetables, and I mentioned four things which are basis of health, good health. Okay, so what has changed in terms of food? Look, in earlier times, if you compare your generation of 90s and eight and so on, your parents and elders, so in that time, you will see that it was mostly food inside home, and it was not easy to earn three times meal a day. A lot of people used to have even two times a day or one time a day, and that was pretty common. In today's time, we don't see that. Now there is a little bit of abundance, but at the same time, what I notice is that a lot of people who have disposable income eat outside. I'm not against eating outside. I mean, I'm just sharing my knowledge. So that is one thing that I've observed. So now, when you eat outside, and especially if you are not aware of what you are consuming, then it can be disastrous. So a lot of packaged foods. This was not the case in our childhood, or let's say in the earlier times. A lot of packaged foods has come into picture. A lot of people who are eating from the food delivery or internet apps and so on, there or even restaurant food and so on. Again, I won't say you have to be careful about this, you have to make your own judgment. But I'm just observing what has changed as compared to the past and if it has changed for the good or not. I will express my opinion on that and I will just leave it to you to decide, which I hope you do for the good. This is one thing which is food. And one more thing which is observed, which I have observed in food is soil productivity and soil fertility. Now, this is something that not many people know about, but in earlier times, there was not so much production, and therefore the quality also was great. I'm not against production. You can increase production, but the quality of products, or I mean crops, has to remain intact, which unfortunately has not been the case. So a lot of chemicals, and the food is not so pure as it used to be earlier. And this, in my view, is a really very important factor, because what you eat affects how you think. What you eat affects your the way you talk to people, the way you work. It makes it so much easier if you eat good food, because you will have good health. So, and which is pretty common sense. That's one thing that I wanted to talk about. I'll go to the second idea. I'm sure a lot of you know about food, but please ensure that you are aware. Avoid packaged food as much as possible, and understand what your parents and your elders used to eat. See if you can derive something good from them. So let's go to the next one. The next one is no is so we have listed three factors: food, community, and internet. So community. Let's say what is the importance of. So if you observe the way your elders used to live, or the older people, they were more connected with each other. So you will realize that people in general were connected with their society, and the reason is that because we did not have internet at those times. So naturally, you will look to your neighbors, to your surroundings, to the society near you. And maybe my sense is that people had better character in those times. Like, for example, they had more love, they had more kindness, they were more helpful, and so on. So they, in general, people were better. That's my opinion. I may be wrong, but that's what my observation has been. For example, I'll give you one idea that there was this culture of inviting people for meals at your homes. Now, notice, even though the abundance that we have today was not there in those times, people used to share meals, people used to share activities, the kids used to grow up together. There was this sense of belongingness, which is something that I observe has changed in today's time. Even if in today's time, if you look at let's say apartments and so on, or societies, they are connected, but those connections are not so good. They are connected maybe so not up to a certain level. There are I don't know, boundaries maybe or something, but in the earlier times in the community, people used to feel a sense of belongingness, and that's something that is missing. So that sense of belongingness is something that has changed. And if you do the rationale, which I will talk about at the end, I'll give my opinion as to what is positive and what is not positive, and we'll share some common ideas. Okay, let's go to the next part. The next part is internet. Look, what is the problem with internet? So it's a wonderful innovation, and I remember that it changed life for good. But what I call this phase, this recent few years, is like it's too much of internet. So perhaps we need to technology detox, we need to do social media detox, and so on. So earlier times internet was in the early stages in the 2010s and so on. It was wonderful. But later on, I believe that in today's generation, even kids are exposed to internet, and those exposure to internet, especially for the kids, has to be had to be regulated. A lot of regulation had to be there, but unfortunately, kids were exposed to people and things which they should not have been exposed to, which is fine. I mean, which is not fine. Sorry. Nowadays there are regulations and those things are taken care of a lot, but there is a little bit of harm that has been done, unfortunately. So I would say that with internet especially, let's talk about multiple ideas. Let's say social media is one of them. You and Google is one of them. Now those people who are not understanding the importance of internet, might not just use it for instant gratification or negative usage, but also the fact that they would be prone to comparison, especially through social media. That is that comparison, especially through social media, is a thing that has really hurt, and it has hurt up to everyone to some extent. And I believe that this is one thing that has changed in today's lifestyle. So, in the earlier times, if you look at parents, this was not the case, of course. People used to, if they wanted information from someone, they used to go to people and speak. And look, this is good. Internet is good because now I can save time. I can get information, the right information. But what has happened is in today's time, there is so much. You can't trust anything. There is so much news which is fake. Even Google, if you try and find out something, you might not be sure, and you may know a wrong thing. So that is the change that has happened, right? So I'll keep it short. So we've discussed three things: sport, lifestyle, and internet. And these are three things that have affected our lifestyle in today's time. If you compare it with your parents and elders, these are the three things that have happened. I've mentioned some pros, I've mentioned some cons also, perhaps. So I would leave it to your judgment, but I would encourage you that you think carefully and have your own judgment on anything on that you see on Google or internet. Have your own judgment, see if it is really the truth, see if it is right or not, see if you're doing the right thing or not doing the right thing for yourself and for others. And that's how, my friends, you can hopefully do take the good use of all the things that are available to us in today's time. Thank you for listening. I wish you well. Thank you. Goodbye.